Hey everybody, Corblunt here. Happy New Year. Hope you're sane. Hope you're healthy. Some folks that listen to my music, some ranching families in the foothills here in Alberta, in the eastern slopes of the Rockies, and some people from out of province too, actually, have brought it to my attention that there have been some pretty sweeping changes, some pretty big changes to our coal policy in Alberta recently, having to do specifically with open pit mining, also known as mountaintop removal coal mining, in something called Category 2 land, which is crown land that's quite protected until now and quite pristine. And it's the size, I think they said it's the size of Jamaica. It's 1.5 million hectares anyway. And the whole thing seems to have been changed. The policy seems to have been changed pretty quietly because I didn't hear about it till December, till these folks told me about it. And no one that I've talked to really knows about it either. That's why I'm doing this video, to make people aware of it. But if that's true, I don't think that's right. Like, from what I understand, there wasn't a whole lot of consultation with the public or, ranchers or farmers or First Nations people or municipalities or anything. So I don't think that's how you should govern. But the deal is, here's the deal. Since the Lougheed government in the 70s, the Lougheed conservative government put this act in place. It's called the coal policy or something similar to that. And the idea was they put years of study into it and years of consultation, and it was widely and deeply investigated. And they came to the conclusion that if this area was so pristine and so sensitive that if it was ever surface mined, open pit mined, it couldn't be restored. And I agree with them. We've all seen the foothills. It's a beautiful country. So I don't know. I don't really like this, and I think we should all be aware of it. I think all Albertans should know about this, and probably all Canadians, really. And one of the biggest things, there's a lot of bad things about it, but the biggest one probably is water. Water. Because contained in this huge area are the headwaters of the Old Man River. You got the North Saskatchewan. You got the Red Deer River. That's the drinking water, folks, for a good part of the province, both rural, urban, First Nations, cities. It's a big deal, and it's coming fast because the deal is in Category 2 land, until the policy was rescinded in May or June in 2020, my understanding was the original coal policy from the 70s pretty much banned open pit mining in these areas. It was just, they tell me you couldn't really even get in the door with a plan to open pit mine there. It was just off the table. End of story. Since then, it's now open for coal leases. And in fact, a bunch of them, to my understanding, have been sold, and not only sold, but sold mostly entirely to foreign companies, and we don't even know about that. It's moving real quick, folks. It's pretty scary. I'm spooked. And one of the main things about this is water, like I said, and a couple things about that. Apparently, coal mining takes an enormous amount of fresh water for their processes. And so they're going to be sucking a bunch of fresh water out of the rivers. More importantly is something called selenium contamination of groundwater. If you want to read about that, just Google Elk Valley, BC selenium, and you'll read about it. And let me point out here too that I didn't check this out on some hippie blog. Ever since I heard about this, I've been studying it and reading a ton of material on it. And I've had meetings with everybody. I've met with provincial ministers and MPs and MLAs and previous legislators and conservation experts, hunters, fishermen, ranchers, farmers, First Nations representatives, across the board, right? And I tried to be fair about it. I know there's always two stories and there's always different values to balance, but I gave it my best shot, and I took in all the information for weeks and studied it. And I got to tell you, I'm kind of pissed off about this. I don't like the content of the changes, and I certainly don't like the way it was done. So back to selenium. Selenium gets into the water, and then it's toxic to fish and animals and humans, and it's happening in Elk Valley. Some of the towns there have had to completely get new supplies of water because their wells have been contaminated. They have to truck in water, and the fish are all messed up. And I just don't want that in Alberta at all, especially near our rivers and in the foothills. I'm just against it. Terrible idea, short term and especially long term. And I'm not an anti-resource guy. I got friends and immediate family that work in the oil patch. I write songs about oil riggers. I drive a pickup, all that stuff. But we should not have open pit coal mines anywhere near our rivers, and we should not have it in that area. Period, in my opinion. And they're going to tell you it's for the economy, right? That's always the economy and jobs in the economy, and of course that's important. And I'm a musician. In 9 or 10 months into COVID, I know about unemployment. It sucks, and I have empathy and sympathy for that. But this is not the way to solve it. This is juvenile, short-term thinking. Like, why would you take any risks at all with our water? Why would you? And another thing, speaking sheerly from economics, what's the one sector that keeps us going when our resource sectors are in a slump. It's agriculture, right? This is for sure going to mess up a bunch of grazing land for the cattle guys. And the Old Man River system supplies irrigation water for a huge chunk of the southern Alberta farmers. We're talking potatoes and corn and canola and wheat and sugar beets, Tabor corn, right? We do not want selenium in the Old Man River. We do not want it. We don't want any chance of selenium in the Old Man River, you know? And another thing, like I said before, my understanding is that most of the leases that have been sold to a foreign company or companies. And of course, I'm also hearing that the royalty rate is really low and Albertans aren't going to get shit from this. I don't think. That's my opinion, but you know, check it yourself. One of the things about this that's the most urgent is that no one knows about it. So share this around on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and email it to your friends, and call your MLA, call your MP, go meet with them. Say, why are we doing this? What are the advantages to Alberta? And ask them about all the questions I've just brought up. It's ugly stuff, man. It's coming fast too. If you don't want the water poison, or if you don't want any chance of opening the door to any threat to the water, make it happen. Okay, that's enough. I'm out. Love you.